tonight. In Cape Coral, Florida, crime scene investigator for the Cape Coral Police Department and author of Evidence of Murder. She also spent many years in Cleveland. Lisa Black is with us. Also with us, joining us by phone in Cleveland, Ohio, an author who is currently working on a book about the Beverly Jarosz case, and he's back with us, Dr. James Badal. Great to have you both here. Dr. Badal, I'm going to start with you. I look at this case, and I'm like, this one seems like it's solvable. What are your thoughts? I mean, you've spoken with the family. I know you've taken a deep dive into this. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it is still solvable today. There are obviously certain problems. The evidence in the case has been handled over and over again in the 50-some years before, since her death. So DNA is probably not a viable option. I think it still could be solved, but whether that person could be convicted in court, I think is a very different matter.
Lisa Black, I know you've taken a close look at this one as well. The first thing that strikes me is we have that video footage of the detective with the trench coat and the hat on in the crime scene. How much differently were crime scenes looked at and processed back in 1964 versus what you were doing these days?
Well, obviously today we have all the personal protective equipment. Everything is done with gloves on, and back then that wasn't something you could really count on. So like Jim says, how often has that evidence been handled? And of course back then, as you see, they invited the press in, and that was normal. That wasn't, bad practice on the police officer's part. That was just how things were back then. Nobody thought any differently of it.
Dr. Badal, the impact a story like this has on a community in Garfield Heights, I mean, people had to be talking about it for years and years, still talking about it today. I mean, I did a quick Google search, and I mean, there's just so much information and intrigue. What strikes you about this story?
It was a tremendous blow to Garfield Heights. A number of people have told me that young children slept together in the same bedroom because they were so traumatized. I mean, Garfield Heights in those days was an upper middle class working neighborhood. This was the sort of place where people very often did not even lock their doors. That something this brutal and this vicious could happen in the middle of the afternoon traumatized the community, and I still think to some extent to this day.
Lisa, looking at some of the facts associated with this case, did she have a stalker? Was there someone that the family was concerned about?
Supposedly there was. She had gotten a ring and a necklace, I think, or a brooch and a bracelet, some jewelry that was nice but not distinctive enough to trace, and had been delivered anonymously, and she had no idea who sent it to her. So that would be very unsettling to a 16-year-old girl. It's exciting to think you have a secret admirer, but not when they stay secret like forever. That can be, concerning. And apparently she and her sister were concerned enough about it. Plus they'd been getting hang-up calls. They were very careful to lock the doors. And like you said, that was a time when people didn't even think about it. So it was unusual for someone to be that concerned that they would lock their doors in the middle of the day.
And for some of the younger people listening tonight or watching tonight, caller ID didn't always exist. And someone would call and would hang up and you didn't know who it was. Dr. Badal, what are your thoughts about perhaps a stalker being the one responsible, someone that was infatuated with Beverly?
Well, that's a complicated question. She had a boyfriend up until about March of '63. His name was Danny Schulte, and he did try to reestablish connections with her in the months after their breakup. I do not think he was the one who killed her, however.
So, Lisa, when you're spending those years in Cleveland and people are talking about this case, what are some of the other theories that you've heard kind of tossed around? And you don't have to, point the finger at anyone specifically, but what types of theories have people kind of speculated about or thought perhaps some of the evidence kind of pointed in that direction?
Honestly, I was born and raised in Cleveland. I grew up on the west side. So, and I was born in '63, so I was 1 year old when this crime occurred. So honestly, I don't remember a lot of conversation about it at the time. And I
No,
did
no, I'm
work
not.
at
No,
the
no.
coroner's
Wait,
office.
first of all, Lisa, I was not inferring that. No, 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 no. When you were
No,
working
that's
as
okay.
when you were working as a crime scene investigator and you were working in Cleveland, were other
Yes.
investigators still talking about the case? I don't want you to take it the wrong way. I'm older than you are.
No, no.
Trust me.
Not that I recall. When I was at the coroner's office, the big unsolved case, well, it was solved, but it came up again, was the Sam Shepard case. There were, some other cases. I don't remember this one specifically, but of course, at the time, it just probably didn't stick in my head because I wasn't as aware of her as I am now. And since I've met Jim, actually, full disclosure, Jim and I are friends. We've been acquaintances for years. We actually collaborated on a little trolley tour by the public library of the torso sites because I wrote a fiction book that used heavily his research from the torso killings. And we had actually been talking about Beverly Jarosz a number of years ago when he started working on this book. And we were looking at some of the crime scene photos and seeing what we could see. But, you know, it's very limited, the information.
Well, Dr. Bedell, let me ask you about the family. Who's still around in Beverly's family, and how are they doing these days?
Well, her sister Carol is still living, obviously. When I first got involved in the case, which was quite a few years ago, her mother was still living, Eleanor Jarosz, quite a lovely lady. They are doing about as well as I think anyone could do under the circumstances. This is something I think is not covered enough by true crime writers, those of us who consider ourselves ink-stained wretches, that there are more victims than the person who was killed, especially a case like Beverly Jarosz, which is still in the public eye. The people who were involved, her friends, her family, they've had to endure public attention for over 50 years. And I think this is something that needs to be covered more completely.
That's a great point. We posted this, and we've got some comments from viewers. Let's begin with Lauren, who writes tonight. I want to know who got in touch with the dad at work. That seems odd. Also, boyfriends or any jealous friends? This seems solvable to me. Someone knew she was there alone. Did anyone know that she was there alone? Has that been established?
No. No one could possibly have known she was there alone unless he or she was watching the house. Beverly and her friend Barb Klonowski altered their plans at around 12:15 that morning. Now, as far as who called her father, it was her grandmother, Marie Vanek. A friend of Beverly's had called her to tell her that Beverly was not at home when she should have been. She panicked to a certain degree and called her son-in-law at his place of business.
Unbelievable that all these years later, still solvable, could happen. We shall see. Lisa Black, Dr. James Bedell, appreciate your time tonight and giving us more insight into this unsolved case. We hope to have you back soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks, when we come back,